Hi, my name is Danielle Lovato. This video has been prepared for the Cybersecurity Principles and Applications course, CYBR 332, at Metropolitan State University, taught by Abdirahman Jirdi. Today's topic is social engineering, how attackers manipulate people rather than machines to breach security. Disclaimer: this video is for educational purposes only. I am not responsible for any misuse of this information. Additionally, another disclaimer, I am not a video editing savvy person, so I apologize in advance for any choppiness, as well as for any unexpected guest appearances that may happen by my pets or my children. So, what we'll cover today. Today, we are going to define social engineering. We're going to talk about social engineering, what it is, why it targets people instead of code. We're also going to talk about the common attack types associated with social engineering, such as phishing, pretexting, baiting, tailgating, and vishing. We're going to talk about the psychology behind social engineering. We're going to talk about why it works, how attackers use authority, urgency, and trust to manipulate people into doing the things that they want them to do. There will be a live demonstration, and it's actually a pre-recorded video that I created using myself as the actor. So another disclaimer here, I am not an actor by trade. I'm not very good at it, but we do what we have to do. So we will do a demonstration of a vishing or pretexting phone call. And then lastly, we're going to talk about defense and takeaways, so how to protect yourself and your organization. Okay, what is social engineering? Social engineering is the use of psychological manipulation to trick people into divulging confidential information or performing actions that compromise security. Now, this is not an attack vector that involves a lot of technical knowledge. It just involves knowing that people like to be helpful and exploiting that. So instead of exploiting technical vulnerabilities in your software, it exploits trust, urgency, fear, or authority. And it works because firewalls and antiviruses can only go so far. They cannot do anything for training people to not respond to these attacks. And these work because attackers only need one person to comply in order for these attacks to be effective. And they can be done over email or in person or by phone or, as our current generations really enjoy, by text message. So I have a quote over here to the left. Companies spend millions of dollars on firewalls and secure access devices, and it's money wasted because none of these measures address the weakest link in the security chain, the people. And that is by Kevin Mitnick, who was convicted of cybercrimes and spent some time in jail. So I think he knows a thing or two. Okay, so why it matters. The human element remains the leading cause of security incidents. Now, unlike Mr. Mitnick, I don't agree that it's money wasted to spend money on firewalls and antivirus, but it is important to invest more heavily into training our people because, according to the Verizon Data Breach Investigations Report for 2026, 62% of breaches involved a human element. These attacks cost organizations millions of dollars annually in breach response and downtime, not to mention reputational damage that occurs when breaches occur. These bypass our expensive technical defenses entirely. And increasingly, these attacks are automated and scaled with AI-generated phishing content. And also, as we'll talk about, they're becoming a little bit more sophisticated with these deepfakes. Let's move on to common attack types. So, some common attack types that are associated with social engineering include phishing, which are mass emails impersonating a trusted sender in order to harvest credentials. This happened recently with Adobe. But it happens every day in all sectors, all organizations. In fact, phishing as a service is even something that exists today where people with no talent, no cybersecurity know-how are able to just use a service that will mass send these emails. We have spear phishing, which instead of casting a wide net like with phishing, spear phishing targets somebody specifically using personal details about them. We also have pretexting. Pretexting can be used in conjunction with some of these other attacks, but the premise of pretexting is that a fake scenario is created in order to extract information, such as impersonating IT or impersonating somebody else at the company. There's also baiting, leaving something enticing like a USB drive or a free download out there as a lure, which was probably how Stuxnet was able to infiltrate Iran's nuclear reactors in Natanz. There's also tailgating, which is physically following an authorized person into a restricted area. So humans, we like to be helpful, and maybe there's a door that's locked, but there's somebody that's coming behind you like, oh, rushing. Can you please hold that door for me? And, we want to help. So oftentimes people will say yes and just let somebody into an area that maybe they don't belong. And then we have vishing. So vishing, like phishing and smishing. Vishing is voice call social engineering. So you get a fake phone call from your bank or tech support or somewhere. And this can go two ways. This can be a person impersonating a company to try to get a user to reveal their credentials. It can also be used in a way where somebody impersonates a fake scenario to try to get a company to reveal your credentials to them. Okay, so now we'll talk about the psychology behind why social engineering attacks work. So, every tactic pulls one of these psychological levers. We have authority. So maybe there's a scenario where someone says, I'm calling from IT security. I'm calling from IT, the security department at your company. Hi, this is so and so. And this is somebody whose authority that we trust. The next one is fear. So they'll say, there is already some suspicious activity occurring on your account. This might be through a phone call, or this might be through a phishing email. Then we have reciprocity. I already fixed this for you. So if you could just confirm your PIN, just confirm the email that you used, just confirm the code that we just sent you. Next, we have urgency. So your account's going to be locked in 10 minutes if you do not give me this information. Then we have curiosity, as we talked about with baiting. So there's an unlabeled USB drive that's left around, and you think, oh wow, I could really use a USB drive. Sometimes these things are kind of expensive, or oh, I just got this download sent to me for some free software that does this XYZ thing. Then we have social proof. So we say everybody on your team already has done this. So if everybody's already done it, then it must be safe to do, right? So using a combination of some of the social engineering attack types, like we talked about, such as pretexting and vishing, attackers were able to conduct a real-world incident against MGM Resorts International in September of 2023. In order to do this, there was a few steps, and the first one was recon. Now, this isn't recon like following somebody around in an unmarked vehicle, or going through their trash, or just spying on them like you see in the movies. This was really simple. They used employees' identity details that they gathered from LinkedIn. This is all public information. All they needed was to just, get on there with a LinkedIn account, and they were able to get some information about the employee that they were targeting. Step two was they made the phone call. Now, I know most of us millennials nowadays, we don't like to answer our phone, especially for numbers we don't recognize. But, sometimes you're lucky, you make a phone call and somebody actually picks up. And so, posing as that employee, they called the IT help desk requesting a password reset. Now, I wasn't able to find out if they spoofed this person's phone number or not, but we know that that's something that's very easy to do. Okay, so step three, the help desk simply reset their credentials. There was no further identity verification. There wasn't a third factor that was asked for, or sorry, a second or third factor that was asked for. They reset the password. And after the help desk reset the password, ransomware was deployed across systems, which resulted in an estimated $100 million in losses and days of shutdown casino, hotel, and payment systems. Not to mention, after this, there was, I think, 37 million people whose data was breached from this incident, and so that was a huge reputational hit. So all this happened through a phone call. Now, social engineering attacks are a little bit difficult to demonstrate in real life. I did not want to actually gain access to any systems. I am not a certified ethical hacker. This felt a little like dangerous territory to be getting into. So I am just going to play a recording of myself doing a phone call. And we'll talk about some of the elements that I'll use in the pretend phone call and why some of them may work to get somebody to give me some of their credentials. Hi, this is Danielle calling from IT Security. Is this Jordan? Hey, Jordan, sorry to bother you. We're seeing some unusual login activity on your account from an overseas IP address. Oh, so you're not overseas. Yeah, okay, well, then it looks like it might be a credential compromise. I'm going to need to lock this down before it gets worse. Yeah, no problem. I mean, this happens way more than you think. So I've already started the account lockdown on my side, but the system just sent a verification code to your phone to confirm that it's really you. Can you read that code back to me? Yeah, we're really racing the clock here. The session is active. Okay. 482196. All right, perfect. All right, locking it down now. Thanks, Jordan. You're all set. So sorry for the scare. Yeah, have a good one. Okay, so once again, I am not an actor, so thank you so much for bearing with me through that. Um, it was painful for both of us, I'm sure. So, breaking down some of the tactics that I used in this phone call. Number one, I claim to be IT security. So, if I were targeting somebody at a real company, I would say that I was the security for whatever their company is. But claiming to be coming from security or your help desk, it establishes trust. So most people aren't going to be verifying that they're IT callers. Step two, urgency and fear. So I use some words in here. I used compromise. Your account is compromised. And I use that we're racing the clock here because this is in progress right now, and we really need to get this to stop. So applying that just a little bit of pressure, it just short circuits people's careful thinking. They think you can't really slow down and think through the situation because, oh, we better stop this right now. So another tactic is to use some plausibility. So we have this realistic detail. There's some activity coming from an overseas IP. And so that makes the invented story feel credible. And of course, the person who's not really overseas, they're concerned and they want to help. So then I'm using like a disguised ask here. So I'm asking them for a verification code. Now we have verification codes for everything. They come in our email, you log into anything, and we have this code. And it feels like routine to take that code and put it into something else. But that's why there's so many times that it says, do not give this to anybody. So with this live MFA code, somebody is able to use that to get into your account. And then we have no callback check. So the employee just stayed on the phone with me, this hypothetical employee, and they never independently verified that I was who I said I was by calling back through a known number. Okay, so why is this problem getting bigger and not smaller? Because phishing and vishing and all of these social engineering techniques have been around for many, many years. You can find examples of vishing on YouTube that are at least 10 years old. So how is this still a problem? Why haven't we been able to stop this yet? One reason is now we have deepfake impersonations. So you can make a video or a phone call or use software that just taking a small clip of somebody's voice or 15 minutes of my voice like we've had on this video so far, and you would be able to generate my voice or somebody else's voice to impersonate them in real time. And this happened to somebody. They had a deepfake executive call them and they wired $25 million. So, you know, if you think that you recognize somebody's voice or you know their face, it doesn't work by itself. We need multiple factors of authentication. And then another reason is we have phishing as a service. So phishing, vishing, all of these things, everything's as a service now. And so there's no skill needed to cast this super wide net and no coding knowledge, nothing. So anybody off the street is able to just subscribe to some phishing as a service kit or subscription service and able to scale their attacks. And sometimes it's a numbers game, it's volume. They just need somebody to click on it. Okay, so how do we defend against social engineering? One is independent verification. So if somebody calls you from the IT department, like me, hang up. It's okay to be rude, or you can just say, hey, I'll call you back. Hang up, call back using a known published number. So if they give you a number, yeah, call me back at 888 hack now. Don't call that number. Call a number that's published on the internet. Call a number that you know. Number two is guard your MFA codes. So as mentioned before, and as usually accompanies a code, legitimate IT security teams will never ask you to read it back over the phone. My banking app, every single time I get my second factor authentication code, it always says, we will never ask you for this code. So step three, slow down under pressure. So they say, hey, this attack is happening right now. This is in real time. We need to deal with this now. This is super urgent. Urgency is manufactured, so we're going to treat it like a red flag, and we are not going to rush. We're going to slow down. We're going to think about what's happening. And we're going to report. So even near misses. Reporting suspicious contact helps flag broader campaigns as they spread. I probably have won the award for reporting fake phishing emails, but I've probably also reported several legitimate emails just to be safe. All right, thank you so much for watching my presentation. Here are some references that you can review if you are interested, and I hope you have a great day.